Person, woman, man, camera, TV. Yet Joe Biden has no plan. He's got absolutely no plan. He doesn't even know what the word inflation means. I don't think if you gave him a quiz, I think he should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. And he said I was the healthiest president he feels in history, so I liked him very much. In fact, he said if I didn't eat junk food, I would live to 200. That's what he said. But I said, Ronnie, should I take a test? He said, well, you know, it's Walter Reed. It's sort of a public hospital. If you don't do well, they're going to find out about it. I said, well, you know, like I'm a smart person. How tough is it? He said, it gets very tough as you get to the middle of it. And I did something that he's never seen done. I aced it. I got every question right. I aced it in front of a lot of people. Low IQ Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate will totally obliterate the U.S. auto industry, and it won't take long. Just so you know, we have the greatest army tanks. I saved it. In Ohio, a plant. When I was president-elect, they said, sir, they want to close our army tank plant. Makes the best tanks in the world. I visited in Lima, Ohio. And I saved it. I said, how can you do this? I looked at complexity. You'd never be able to build a plant like this. Turned out we made more army tanks than anybody. They did a great job. But they want to make them now electric, so that when you go into enemy territory and you obliterate the enemy and you knock down and those tanks are firing, you do it in a environmentally friendly way. The problem with the army tanks, like cars and like trucks, the problem is that you would have to bring a battery pack along. You're going to pull it like a little wagon, like a child pulls a wagon. So they want to build an army tank, but, the battery is very big and very heavy, much heavier than a thing called diesel, much heavier than diesel fuel. And you got to see this tank. It's like a wagon, and there's a big thing that it's pulling in the back. And even with that, it doesn't go far, and lots of bad things happen, like it doesn't take cold weather very well, and it's really bad in heat. But it is environmentally friendly, remember that. Of course, making it is an environmental disaster, so that more than makes up for it. And they want to have your jet fighters now. I got more planes. I rebuilt our entire military. They want to make your jet fighters use a fuel that's environmentally friendly, but it makes the plane 18% less efficient. So that's the difference between, in a fight with the enemy, winning and losing, a minor difference. But you go in again. They want to go in a clean, environmental way as we bomb the shit out of a country. Can you believe this?
But the Democrat Party has never been farther outside the mainstream. Every major, that's a nasty fly. I don't like those suckers. I don't know about you in New Mexico, but I'm not into flies or mosquitoes. So, this is Tic Tacs, right? I don't know if I like the company. I've never met, I have no idea. They're so lucky. Look at all the television. This is the greatest commercial they ever had. But that's what happened. This is inflation. This is Tic Tac. This is Tic Tac. This is inflation. This is what's happened. I just happened to have, somebody gave me this one today. I said, I think we'll put it up as an example of inflation.
I mean, this is inflation, this is Tic Tac, doesn't make a ton of sense, but no matter what your policies are, you have to agree that that is Tic Tac. Also, that is not an example of inflation. That is an example of mints that come in different sizes.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire.
How do you define DEI? Go ahead.
How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me
literally
a definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always
But
identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that, too. You know, I was doing very well with black voters, and I still am. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're doing pretty well. You know why we're going to win New Mexico? Because they want safety on their border. And they didn't have it. And we're building a wall on the border of New Mexico. And we're building a wall in Colorado.
I misheard it. Can you play it again?
And we're building a wall on the border of New Mexico. And we're building a wall in Colorado. We're building a beautiful wall.
Oh,
a big one
no.
Really
Oh,
works.
they're clapping and they're standing. They're
get
clapping and they're standing for the Colorado wall. They think that we're a border state. He thinks that we're a border state. Now, presumably, somebody with the White House is going to inform President Trump that Colorado is not on the Mexican border and there will not be a wall built here. But who's going to break that to all the people who cheered?
And it's a big wall. It's a strong wall. It's a wall that people aren't going through very easy. They're going to have to be in extremely good shape to get over this one. They would be able to climb Mount Everest a lot easier, I think. And we have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war. Just think of it. We would be in World War II very quickly.
So he told another one of his, what you call his Sir, S-I-R, Sir stories today. Let's watch this.
We revoked the ridiculous Waters of the United States rule. When I did that, I had people in my office. I had miners, and I had farmers, and I had builders building homes. And many of them were tough, strong men and women, and almost all of them were crying. They said, "Sir, you've given our life back to us."
All right, so tough men and women crying. What is the issue with the claim? And give the lowdown on the Sir story, please.
So, Don, Trump has a habit of telling stories in which unnamed people call him Sir. And through my fact-checking, I've found that almost all Sir stories are false in some way. The word Sir is a tell, like in poker. Now, there's a subset of Sir story that involves crying people. These are usually big, burly, tough, muscular, strong, central-casting men who, in private, in some setting, approach Trump, call him Sir, and then profusely thank him while crying for saving the country or saving their life. Now, these are hard to fact-check because he situates most of them backstage or in places where there are no witnesses. But in this case, the Waters of the United States signing, we actually have video. This was an event that was filmed by the White House and others. And when you watch the video, you see that no one was crying at all. People were smiling, people were happy, and so this is completely made up.
Virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. You know that? Most of the job creation has gone to migrants. In fact, I've heard that substantially more than beyond the number of 100%. It's a much higher number than that.
We have under our feet more liquid gold. I call it oil. We're going to end the mandate on electric one day. They want to make all boats, too. I went to a boat company in South Carolina. The boat, I said, "How is it?" He said, "It's a problem, sir. They want us to make all electric boats." He said, "The problem is the boat is so heavy, it can't float."
What?
I said, "That sounds like a problem." So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart.
Right.
I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I could tell you about the elevators on a tremendous aircraft carrier, the Gerald Ford, and they decided not to use hydraulic like a John Deere tractor. They decided to use magnets. We're going to use magnets to lift up the elevators with 7 planes on them. They had an almost $1 billion cost overrun on the magnetic elevators. Think of it, magnets. Now, all I know about magnets is this. Give me a glass of water. Let me drop it on the magnets. That's the end of the magnets.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
They're eating the cats. In 1917, they say, right? The great pandemic certainly was a terrible thing where they lost anywhere from 50 to 100 million people. Probably ended the Second World War. All the soldiers were sick. Hillary wanted to put up wind. If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay? You know, the thing makes it so... And of course, it's like a graveyard for birds. You know, we have a world, right? So the world is tiny compared to the universe. Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing. They're eating the pets. I did everything right, and they indicted me. Ding, 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 ding. Boom. Missile launch. Pshing, boom.